Hello friends, this is going to be the first video in probably a series of videos which I'm going to go into great detail on as I do this project, which will be modifying this trailer, which is not my trailer, it's my friend's trailer. And it's just basically a flatbed, and it has these sides made out of wood that just fit into the stake pockets down below. It is a tilt bed trailer, so when you pull this pin here, then it will tilt. But to drive a tractor or something up on it, you have to forcibly tilt it and then get the wheels or something up on the trailer, or it's almost a two-person job. It's very difficult to get something on by yourself because it won't stay in the tilted position. So what we're going to do, I got some steel that I bought. We're going to make a tailgate for it, and we're also going to put some angle iron sides on, get rid of this wood. And it's going to be basically similar to this type of design, except the sides are going to be higher. I'm going to use the angle iron for the sides, but it's going to be probably 2 feet high instead of 1 foot. And then the tailgate is going to be, I'm going to use thinner steel. This is 2-inch tubing. I'm going to use 1.5 inch. But the basic design will be the same. And I'll have angle iron on here, and then the tailgate will be slightly wider than the original width of the trailer, so that this, when it tilts up, it has something to hit up against, which would be the angle iron here. Sorry. And then I'm going to have a latch. It won't be a latch like that. I got spring latches I purchased through Northern Tool that I will be putting on. So I'm going to try to, a lot of my videos I just kind of showed cutting steel and stuff. I didn't want to make a long boring video, but this time I think I'm going to go into great detail as I do it. So if you like it, watch. If you don't, there's plenty of YouTube videos out there that you can choose other than this one. So hopefully you'll watch and you'll learn something, or I'll learn something, or at least be entertained by it. Let's get started. Alright, first thing I want to know is, what is the width of the trailer as it sits now? Oh. I'm going to do it underneath. Alright, looks like it's 62 inches overall. 62 inches. Alright, 62 inches. So I will make the tailgate probably, now if I add 1.5 inch angle iron on this side, 1.5 inch angle iron on this side, I'll be adding 3 inches, so it will be 65 will be the total width with the angle iron sides. So I will probably make the tailgate 63.5 or 64, something like that, so that when I raise the tailgate up, it'll have something to hit against, and it won't fall over inside the trailer, which is not good. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is measure. I got expanded metal for the tailgate. I want to know how high to make it, so it's going to be approximately 4 feet, but I want to get an accurate dimension. It is actually 4'1" and 3/16, 49 and 3/16. So I don't want it to come right out to the edge of the square tubing frame, because I need a spot to weld it, so I'll probably make the frame slightly bigger. So probably 50 inches or something is good. 50 or 50.5, that'll give me room to weld. Alright, here's my chop saw. I'm going to, whoa, wow, that's interesting. Uh-oh. That's supposed to slide. Guess I ought to clean the dirt off of there, lube it up or something. Alright, what I want to do is make mitered corners, so I want to set the backstop at 45 degrees. So if I loosen this handle, then I should be able to turn it. Yeah. Something like that. Okay, but now what I want to do is I'm going to double check it with this, because I don't trust the markings on there. So I'm going to pull this down and something like that. Whoa! Alright, so if I put this up against the blade like so, raise that up, put this up against the blade like so, it should be 45 degrees, and it is fairly close to 45 degrees, I do believe. So I will tighten up the handle and we will go with that. Alright, I'm set up to make my first cut. Since I'm making beveled corners, I have to cut each corner at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to start by cutting this off like this. I made sure that the bed of the saw is touching on all sides, so that's nice and square, because I don't want a sloppy cut where it's not going to mate up, you know, when I try to build this thing. I don't want to have to fill up a big gap or something with weld or try to fix a big mess. I want to try to get as accurate a cut as I can. I'm not one to cut corners, but in this case, if you want your corner cut, you have to do it. Let's go. I ran out of sawing before it actually finished the cut, so I'll have to finish that somehow otherwise. Well, I found an adjusting screw for the amount of stroke, so I'm going to try to loosen this. Maybe I can get more cutness out of it. Alright, let's try that. Well, just about. For all practical purposes, it worked. So now, when I make the corners, it will be nice and bevelly like that. There, except I'm going to have to take off the burrs and whatnot before I do that, but it'll be a nice mitered corner in theory anyway. Okay, before I make the next cut, I'm going to have to flip the steel over, otherwise both cuts will be at the same angle and not at opposite angles, which, you know, like a picture frame is what I'm trying to go for, because I'm trying to make a rectangular shape with beveled corners. So I have to flip it like that, and then we're going to have to measure for the proper dimension. Okay, as previously discussed, I want to make the width of the gate 53.5-ish. So I put the tape right on the corner of the steel. Whoops. Right on the corner. Now I'm going to go over here. I'm going to bring my saw blade down. You see where the blade contacts that corner, and it is very close. Whoops, it moved on me. I want to set that to 53.5 right there. Okay, I tweaked it. There's my 53.5 mark. When I bring the saw blade down, well, it moved a little bit. I think I'm just going to go with that. It's not that critical of a dimension, so I'm just going to go with it. Okay, let's see what we got. If I measure, I put the tape measure on the longest dimension. And look at that, 53.5. Well, actually it's pretty close. Okay, I want to make both pieces the same. These will be the two, I guess the top and the bottom rail on the gate. So rather than measuring and risking being off, I'm going to line up the ends of the cut piece and the piece I'm cutting, and then line it up to my saw blade like that, and risk being off. But theoretically it should work. At least it should work as well as my crappy measuring method, so we'll see what happens. Okay, I didn't show the actual cut because how many times do I need to show that? But the ends are aligned on this side. Obviously there's going to be some deburring, but on this side they also, so the pieces are essentially the same length. I will do this again for the upright pieces, which will be 41 3/4 or 50, whatever I decide, something like that. So let's cut those. I'm not going to show that though because you've already seen that. Now, these are our pieces for the uprights. I tried to get them the same. It looks like they're a little bit off, but there's a big burr that I got to remove, so I'm thinking that I'm going to have to work with what I got here. Once I take the burr off, I don't think it'll be as bad as it looks, but it may not be perfect. I may just have to fudge it when I weld it. Okay, how many of you guys are paying attention out there? If you're paying attention, then you know that I just made a major screw up, and you're probably rolling on the floor laughing at me. I went and checked the pieces. Now these are the upright pieces here. So I took it, and this should be about basically the same height as the other tailgate that I'm copying. So I laid it up in there. And it's slightly taller, which is what I figured because I did make it slightly taller. So that worked out good. But the width, if you remember, I said it was 5'2", and I was going to make it 5'3", and quarter, 5'3½", and I ended up making it 53.5 because my brain wasn't functioning. So, as you can see, those pieces are much narrower than the trailer, which they're supposed to be wider than. So, not all is not lost. I'm going to need some pieces, some more upright pieces to go in between the middle, and these are longer than what I need, so I will be able to trim the ends and salvage the pieces. So, we'll just have to cut the new wide pieces for the top and bottom rail. Okay, I remade the wide pieces, the top and bottom rail of the gate, and this time they're wider than the actual trailer, so it should work out. That will be the top and bottom, and then I'm going to have this, like I said, the additional uprights in the middle. I don't know how many I'm going to have, but those pieces are long enough that I can cut them down and still use the pieces, and there won't be a lot of waste. So I could have edited that out. I thought, you know, these are the kind of mistakes that happen sometimes, and you know, figured why not show the mistakes too. Maybe somebody can get something from it. Okay, as long as I got the saw out, I want to cut some of the angle iron pieces for the angle iron sides. I haven't figured out exactly what I'm doing on that yet, which is what I'm doing now, is trying to figure that out. I'm not a professional fabricator, I'm a dumbass fabricator. This whole thing might be crap when I get done with it, but it's a learning thing. So the width, as we've established, is about 5'2", you know, plus the angle irons that I'm going to add. So this is my sample trailer over here. These uprights are 20 inches apart, and they're only a foot high, where mine is going to be, you know, 2 feet high. So I'm trying to figure out how to space them. On the front, I'm probably just going to, you know, figure 5 feet divided, you know, into 3 sections. So I'll have 2 uprights, sort of similar to that, except they won't be spaced the same. They'll be approximately 20 inches apart, and it'll divide that whole front section into thirds. So that's what I'm thinking there. So I'm going to need 2 uprights in the center, you know, plus 1 on each corner, plus 1 in the very back on each corner, which will also be the tailgate support or stop, and also where I'm going to attach the latch. Now the fender is 2 feet from the back to the front, so I'm going to probably put an angle iron upright on each side of the wheel, and then one split the dimension here and put one centered there and centered there, and that should be fine, I hope. So that would mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on this side. The other side is the same, so that would be 12. And 13, 14. So I would need 14 uprights to do that, and they'd all be about 2 feet long. So I can cut those now. Alright, clean some of the dirt off my chop saw. Look at this. That line that I'm lining up the 0 to, I'm putting the thing back to a square cut because I'm done with the mitered corners. It's actually a red line. I didn't know that with all the dirt, but still gonna attempt to double check it with my whoopsie. Stop. There we go. Still gonna try to check it with the square just to make sure. In case you're wondering why I'm doing this on the grass, it's because if I do it in the garage, I risk starting a fire. If I do it on the driveway, I risk having rust stains. I don't care if I get rust stains in the grass. Although the grass has started on fire in the past doing it this way. Okay, there are 14 angle iron pieces cut to 26 inches long. Those will be the uprights for the angle iron rail and sides. And then the railing will go on top, and I haven't measured that, so I didn't cut that yet. But we're off to a good start.